over with. We're already switching gears, thinking about deer season, and I got a bunch of new pieces of public land to scout, so I'm headed to one now. It's a small property, small piece of public land. It'll be interesting to see what we find on it. Before turkey season's over with, we've switched gears to deer season. I've got a bunch of new pieces of public to try and go out and scout, and we're trying to accomplish that today. Get on this small piece. It's only 60 acres, so if you guys hunt small pieces of public, small pieces of private, and want to know how to scout them, or at least how we go about scouting them and finding the deer, that's what we're going to be kind of showing you and walking you through today. It's how we go about hunting and scouting these really small pieces of public land, and then scouting them in the summer especially, because it's going to be different than scouting them in the fall. So just to get an overview of the property, it's kind of a longer, skinnier piece of property with cedar and hackberry draw running through it, and then as you can tell, just pasture land around that kind of creek bottom that runs through it. Then you got ag fields and stuff on either side of it. So that's kind of how the habitat lays out. We'll see some more of it once we get down in there. So just trying to give you guys an overview of what the property looks like, so if you're hunting something similar, you kind of can tailor it to your pieces of public or private land that you're hunting. So probably gonna walk down in here, kind of take you through how I'm gonna go about scouting it and how we're gonna pick a stand location for this property. So it looks good from here, but they always look good from far away. So we'll get down in there and see what we can't find. First thing we do, get as far in away from the axis as we can, and then we'll work our way back out from there. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm gonna get as far back in as I can and work my way back out. And one thing that we're also looking for is other signs of hunting pressure, whether that be boot tracks, deer stands, anything like that. We're just looking for other hunting pressure so we know the areas to avoid. So the first step, especially on this small property, get as far back as we can and then look for other signs of hunting pressure. And then as we're going, we're looking for buck sign as well. So I'm gonna keep walking, get as far back here as I can, and then we'll go from there. Well, I'm almost as far as I can go that way. Not quite. I'm gonna keep going because I think this is looking really good. But what I noticed here, there's an old road that comes through that the farmers must have used a long time ago. But there's a bed right there. We come back this way. There's another bed right there. And it looks like something pretty consistently beds right there. Would be facing out that way. So what that tells me is something is using this. That looks more like a buck bed because it's pretty much worn down. These look like does that are using this spot, but there's deer bedded up on this high spot, and that's because if you get down in it, no matter which way you face, they're either gonna have to be walking up here on this road, or you can see off this way, and you can see off this way down into all of that bottom. So basically, it's almost a foolproof spot for them to bed because they're using the wind, they're using their eyes, and they're using everything when they're bedding up here on this high spot. So that's just one thing to take note of, is that we're gonna have to avoid being seen by deer that are using this old road. Okay, didn't make it very far. This right here is a perfect example of buck bedding. So I'm gonna put the camera down and then show you why. And it's obviously been used, grass is still dead, you can see hoof prints and marks and stuff in it. So we talk about if you find a bed and they're putting a cedar tree at their back, you're good, usually, for assuming it's a buck bed, especially if it's by itself like this one is. So we get in here, and if you look out from where this buck is, you can see all the way down this side, and you have a little bit of cover here, but you can still see through it and see you moving. Or you're gonna have to be up here with him on this old railroad track, and he's gonna see you obviously at that point in time. So what he's doing is he's bedded facing this way with that cedar tree at his back, and then he also has the wind coming from back this way. So the wind's coming over the top of my head, blowing this way, and he's looking out this way. so he can see anything over here. He doesn't have to worry about anything behind him, because that wind's blowing, he's going to be able to smell it. So this buck is laying here, looking out this way, looking out towards that ag field, and then that's how he's staying safe, is that he's got wind at his back, eyes to his front, and he can see anything coming directly from either side of him. So that's why he's bedded in this spot. Right. So a good find, definitely a buck bed. So those are the things we look for too in identifying a buck bed. So it's by itself, cedar tree at his back, a high spot. He's using the terrain, which bucks do more so than does do. Does bed in those big groups, and he's looking out over an open spot. So now we're going to use this to our advantage. Now that we're in this buck bed, we're going to use it to our advantage to find a spot where he can't see us, but we can still get close to him. I'm not finding the terrain features and the bedding and the deer sign and the kind of channeling that movement like I wanted to. I want to be, like I mentioned before, on these small properties, I want to be in that one spot, like the perfect spot for that one small property. That's still what I'm trying to figure out, and I didn't see it down that way. That old railroad kind of makes things hard because there's a high spot that runs all the way down the middle. So that makes it a little bit more difficult. And then you have to choose which side the deer are going to use. So for now, I'm going to go back to this kind of brushy area, see if there's anything that looks good there for a spot. So there's quite a few trails that look like this coming out. I was on another one that's right up there. There's some trails going out this way. So that means the deer are coming out of this little bottom area and traveling and going whichever way. So we're going to get down in that bottom area here in a second. But the thing I wanted you to take notice of is if you paid attention to that creek bottom stuff we were in before, it's all kind of monotonous hackberry, ash tree, you know, dead trees and brome grass. But we get here and you can just see the difference. So there's cedar trees, there's some autumn olive trees, there's some hawthorn trees, locust trees, there's cedar trees in the bottom, but then we have elms here, we have brome grass, everything's broken up. And so when we get to spots like this, it's diversity of habitat, and this diversity of habitat is more diverse than anything on this whole property. And I'll show you on the map what it looks like from above so you can kind of take note of that, because deer like that diversity in habitat, and just this little bit makes a big difference. So we spooked those two does earlier over there. The only other deer we spooked is in this area that we know of anyways, was in this area, bedded just right down here in this little clump of trees. So now what we're going to do, we're going to get a better feel for the area, for this kind of diverse habitat type terrain, and then we're going to find a tree stand for this spot, and maybe put a trail camera here instead of that spot, depending on what we find, because this might actually be the better spot. So one thing to take note, you can still do it even in the summertime, is diversity of habitat. You look at all of this, it's way more diverse than anything we walked through so far, and those are the areas you need to focus on. So we're going to make a I'm going to follow this trail up and kind of make a loop back and see if we can't find a tree stand location in this spot, because I think it could be good. Alright, so we get into this spot. This is where we want to be. This is what we want to be hunting over and through. So you just, again, I put the camera down. If you just look off this way, like, see how much more diverse this habitat is down in here than like back down there in that creek bottom we were just in. Like, way more diverse, way more of an opportunity for bucks to cruise through, make rubs, make scrapes, for does to bed, cedar trees to bed under, taller grass, just different habitat. This is what we're looking for. So I'm going to walk this way and kind of loop around, because the problem with this is now I don't want to get too far in or choose a tree stand too far in here, because then you're going to spook them out. But we want to be able to see them in here and like catch them going in and out. So that's what we're going to try to find a tree stand spot for. So diversity of habitat is super key with anything deer hunting, especially buck hunting, is getting that diversity of habitat. And this is good stuff here. Just gotta find the right tree stand location, but this is where we want to be. And now we get down here I'll show you this. It's got a bed right here. There's a track right in it. And then right over here, another bed. So, what they're doing here, again, we're going to take note of this. They're bedded, wind at their back from this way, facing this way. So they're expecting to see stuff coming from this way, with the wind blowing at their back. So when we come in, we can't come in from this way now, because they're going to be looking at us. Now we know where they're bedding, so we know just kind of how far off we have to stay, how far they can see, and all that sort of stuff. So we know we can't come in from this way, and then there goes a deer just right there. Just down over this edge, a deer just got up and is working its way back that way, heard me talking. But we got a couple beds here, so really, really good spot. We just need to find that tree, and it's going to be down here somewhere. We just need to find it. But we're finding beds, we're in this diverse habitat, right along this creek bottom. It's looking good. So you can kind of see how we're starting to put the pieces together. I didn't like that spot we were at earlier, and that's the thing that I was kind of struggling with, is like, well, on the map, that's the spot I really wanted to get to, and that's the spot I wanted to put a stand. And I walked in it, and it didn't feel right, but I'm like, but I think we still need to put a stand there. But if it's not right, it's not right. Move on and find the better spot. So with that being said, don't get stuck on certain spots. If it's not right, it's not right. Find the correct spot, keep scouting, and that's what we did. And man, I just keep looking around this spot and it looks good. We need to find a tree stand location down in here somewhere. And this is going to be a spot I think we're going to have to move and bounce around to get that correct spot of where they're walking. But if we can get close and we can see them, then we can move, which is alright too. So. Okay, here's what we're going to do. This cedar tree right here is the perfect one. So here's why. I'm going to show you how we're going to get to it here in just a second. And the beds that we've seen were just right down there. And that area I talked about where I think the deer are going to walk up is right here, right through there. And we came from right down along there. There's more habitat transition and stuff up there. I'll show you that in just a second too. But what this tree stand is going to allow us to do with the correct wind, we're going to need a wind blowing out that way, which is going to be kind of a southerly, southeasterly wind. A northerly wind really isn't going to work because it's going to probably blow it back that way, but it could work. So we're going to have to try to experiment with wind directions here. But if we get in this tree, cedar tree, we can get up there, cut some limbs off it, and then we can shoot right down into this bottom, and this is just going to get more and more open as the season goes on. We're going to be able to see farther, we'll be able to see things crossing through. If anything's in the bottom and not up top, they're going to walk right through here, probably have a shot opportunity on them as well. So we can shoot stuff down here, and then, and cedar trees provide great cover like all year round. And then if we come up here, and that is where we had some camera troubles. We ran out of memory card, I didn't notice it, and then our other main camera had some audio issues that we're going to have to figure out. So I wanted to go through that tree stand location a little bit more since it kind of got cut off there. I wanted to explain it a little bit better, but I'm going to show you on the map. So we'll dive in here to the map. I'll kind of explain what's going on with that tree stand location that I finally chose. And so if we start, the main thing to look at here first is you can tell the difference in habitat that I was talking about when I was actually on the ground scouting. If you look to the right, you can see that creek bottom, then off to the left here, you can kind of see more of that transitional type habitat. And if you look at it, look at all the different habitat breaks, habitat transitions that there are in this area. And that's what we're looking for as far as really good deer habitat. And when we got to that spot, we knew that that was where we needed to be, and that's where the deer were going to be. So that's what we're looking for as far as habitat transitions, and we found it here in this spot. And so if you come over here to that kind of far right habitat transition, right in this area is where that cedar tree was, where I was talking to the camera when everything got cut off. So from that tree stand location, we can see up here to the north, and that's where those beds were that I seen just a little bit earlier, those two beds. And then I can also see down into this creek bottom from that tree stand location. So I'll be able to see anything that's walking down in the creek bottom and still be able to see up here into this, habitat transition zone if there's any deer moving through here. So it's kind of an observation stand that we can still probably shoot something out of even on your first or second attempt down there, because we can shoot down into the creek, we can shoot that really close habitat transition, but it still allows us to see out here into all this other stuff, because maybe the deer are walking a different route than we think they are. So that's going to allow us to shoot a bunch of different spots and still see a bunch of different spots, because we've talked about it before. Usually we go in, find a tree, and then we usually have to end up moving and fine-tuning that spot, and that's probably what we're going to have to do here, but this spot allows us to do that. So we're able to see a long ways and still be able to get good shots, and that's what makes this tree so perfect. So as far as access, we're going to come in from the west, work our way down this old railroad track that's kind of down in the ground, so nothing's going to be able to smell us no matter which way the wind is, unless it's bedded down in that railroad track, of course. So we're going to walk that in, and then this is where it gets kind of tricky. We're going to have to go through maybe where some deer might be bedded. So we're going to have to come up through here, hit this line, and then get into our tree stand, into our tree. So that is the only part of this plan that's still up in the air as far as what we're going to do. So we can probably just back out, get in this other line of trees further back if we need to, because we can still see this whole transition area. We're just not going to be able to shoot this farther away transition line here along the creek bottom, which is fine if the deer aren't using it. It doesn't matter anyway. So we might have to back out, sit over here in this area, and then look out here to the east if we're getting busted on the way in. But that's something we're just going to have to figure out as we go. But that's kind of the main reason, give you a good overview over why we're hunting this spot. It's just lots of habitat transitions, different types of habitat in that area, and we've seen some good deer sign there. There were some beds, really pretty good access. Like I said, there's a little bit of a problem with it, but we'll work on that as we go. But that's kind of the location of this tree stand and why I decided to put the tree stand there instead of where we were at earlier in the day. So hope you guys like this whitetail content, because we're bringing a whole bunch more to you. We have a bunch of scouting videos coming up. We're going to do a whole lot more of those. We have mapping videos that you guys sent us a couple months ago that we need to get to, so thanks for being patient with those. We're going to get to them, as well as your Ask Whitetail Instinct questions. You guys sent a bunch of those in, so if you have any more, keep sending them in as we keep going here in the summer with all these scouting videos. If you have questions, because we're going to be doing more of those Ask Whitetail Instinct videos as well. So make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, because like I said, more whitetail content coming your way this summer.